Business employs over half of the Ontario workforce. And many financial challenges the sector faces have now been increased because of the government's recent minimum wage increase to $11 an hour. Every small business owner wants their employees to do well, but this increase places an additional burden on the businesses that cannot easily be absorbed without a negative impact. What will your party do to assist small business owners?
Well, I'm very proud of what our party has done, because our party, first of all, recognized the necessity of raising the minimum wage. It's unconscionable that in our country you can work full-time. In fact, two people married can work full-time and not have enough to support their family. So minimum wage had to go up, and it has to go up more. But to cushion the pain, what our party has done has promised to lower the tax rate for small businesses from 4.5% to 3%. That's almost cutting it in half. That's got to help.
Small businesses are having a very hard time in this province. They don't need another tax increase. Statistics show that less than 20% of the population who are minimum wage is actually their primary income. Many of them are retired, many of them are students. We need to tackle the problem. We need to put our resources to the 20% of people that have a problem. Our income tax system is very thorough. People that don't have a living wage, we can supplement that. By supplementing everybody, it means there's less money for everybody. And we shouldn't be aspiring to minimum wage jobs. Our plan is to aspire to better paying jobs and to reduce the number of minimum wage jobs out there. I mean, we have to get people working this problem in good paying jobs, not minimum wage jobs. And that's what this NDP and Liberal governments are concentrating on, trying to buy votes. And we just can't not run this province like it's run for many, many years. Leader in Confederation, now sadly a have-not province.
Earlier, John mentioned the 2008 credit crisis. That scared the hell out of me. The reason being, ships stopped on the ocean. Commerce stopped moving. And there's a reason for that. And I've tried to mention it before, and I've been studying it ever since. But it's connected to stimulus spending. When our central bank tries to manipulate our GDP, our productivity, the size of our economy, by creating more credit, creating more money intrinsically, it's manipulating our lives. And it starts to push inflation up. We think inflation is a natural consequence of life, but it's not. There was periods of over 100 years where there was no inflation, but there was growth and prosperity.
10 seconds.
We had greater buying power with the dollar as efficiencies and innovations worked into the marketplace. So this, trying to drive up wages by forcing them to happen, is ass backwards. I'm sorry for the language, but that's the way it is.
Thank you, Sean. John?
I don't know how Sean and I can say it's ass backwards, first of all. I don't know how you can claim that. I mean, we need to raise the minimum wage, and we've done it. We did it, and I think it was a good raise to the minimum wage. When you look at, business owners, it's hard. It's hard to run a small business in Ontario. It's hard to run a business anywhere in the country. We need to understand that if our employees make more money, they're going to spend money at other businesses, and we're going to grow the economy. That's the way we grow the economy, not by keeping people under the thumb of our government. And that's what's going to happen if we cut jobs and if we go down the path that the Conservatives have put forward.
Open the floor to debate.
In the past 2 years, Tim Hudak has issued white paper after white paper with these brilliant ideas of how he's going to fix the province of Ontario. Does anybody remember the right to work? Worker choice. So it's ironic to hear our MPP, who purports to be
Those were discussion papers, and we decided not to go on with that plan. But we need a plan to get people working. The economists have told this government that by going to a minimum wage increase, you're only going to cut the number of people working at minimum wage. You're going to cut the employment because employers don't have any more money. What they're doing now,
50% of women work minimum wage.
Working more hours themselves. People who used to work at minimum wage now have no job. That's the reality.
explain in a few minutes Austrian economics. As I said, I've been trying to study it since 2008. It's complicated. But even more complicated is Keynesian economics, which is manipulative. That's where the central banks came from. That's where the money creation, money manipulation, the boom-bust cycles that we've been living in have come from. These styles of government are extensions of those manipulations. And I encourage everyone to get on the internet and read a little bit about Austrian economics. I find it very enlightening. Thank you.
I don't think you need to study any further than the corner store, and you know that as the price of bread goes up, your wage has to go up or you're going hungry.
We bring those costs up by driving up the cost of the people working there. And you know, you can't run the province like we've been running it. The businesses, if they ran their business like that, the rest of them would be out of business as well.
Wages
We've
don't
driven
drive
up
the
costs.
economy.
We're the highest indebted country or province or non-prime jurisdiction in the world. That's got to signal there's a problem here. If we were Greece, we'd be bankrupt. We're lucky the federal government
We're not
is
Greece, though.
saying us.
We're not Greece, Jen.
Well, we're not, but we're getting there.
No,
We're
one of the reasons
your
we're
own-
not
your own
bankrupt
report said we're getting there. We're at the point 10 years away, the way this government's going. And I don't think anybody wants to be told by a foreign government what our pensions will be, what our wages will be, because we don't have the ability to borrow anymore.
Well, let's be honest here.
If we pass this budget, we've already been told by standards of poor, we have another credit downgrade. That just means we're paying more money in interest. We have no choice. We have to get things under control. It's time to wake up.
Greece is in serious trouble because they bought into the austerity agenda wholesale. We did not. We opted for stimulus funding, which has supported us in this interim while we're waiting for the economy to become
The economy's
energized.
rebounded everywhere else but Ontario. It's time to wake up. No finance minister said our rates of income will be less than the rest of the Western world for the next 20 years. He didn't say 5 years, he didn't say 10, he said 20. And why a finance minister would say that before an election, I don't know, but those are his words.
It's kind of like wondering why the leader of your party would say he's going to cut 100,000 jobs.
You got to get expenses under control. And
Then we're going to end
very
up being
clear,
a have-not province.
we're talking
by not having
about going
services.
by
We're not gonna
attrition.
have the services that people need to live.
We need to
Today I was
transfer
thinking about
those
something
jobs
my dad did
to
when I
private
was
sector.
17 years old. He went to the scrapyard and he bought an old truck. And we put a tank on it. We took the body off, put a tank on it, we rebuilt the engine, we built booms, and we went to the field and we sprayed our crops. We did it at a very small cost because we had to. Interest rates were at 20%. Bank wasn't lending us any more money. Stuff had to be brought under control. This is reality. This is people. I'm a person who lives in the real world. Governments have to start living in the real world. And stop start finding solutions to lower costs.
And I grew up in those times too. There were milk checks at home for a family of 12, $7 a week. We didn't go out and spend money we didn't have. And I'm not saying the governments don't have some ability, but we way overstretched our means. All we've done is we've gone to a limit in borrowing, and now our children and grandchildren are going to be stuck with something. We've lost. I mean, if you look around this room, would you say that we've gained $500 billion worth of benefits from this government? That's what they've wasted over and above what was being spent back in 2003. That's extra money they collected and spent.
Thanks, Jim. We're going to cut it off there.